Welcome to episode number 3 of New Money Talks, where we talk
Three.
all things new money. Today we have our very first guest, Yash Shah. So you guys are going to be getting to know a lot more about him, and we're going to get to know him a little bit better. We've been friends for a while, but I don't think we know too much about him. And so we're going to, pull back the curtains on some of the things he's working on. Hopefully you guys can get some nuggets out of it. And I think we'll learn a bit too.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's nice not being the ones having to talk the whole time.
Yeah,
for once.
right. Finally have
So,
a conversation with somebody else here. So this is good.
Yeah.
Episode 3. All right.
So yeah, we're excited to get to know you a bit more and about your business, and maybe ask you a few questions regarding the current state of e-commerce, drop shipping, give the listeners some value. So I guess
sauce.
if you want to ask the first question, do the honors.
Yeah, we'll start with the easy stuff. So I want to know, who in the world is Yash Shah? Tell me about yourself. What do you do? Where can people find you? Stuff like that. Like, give us a brief on you. Who are you? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, first of all, thanks so much for having me. I know it's been a while since me specifically linked with you guys. So super glad to be here and kind of start things off. So basically I do e-commerce, digital marketing. Some of you guys may or may not have heard of me before, but I started my journey about 5.5 years ago, and I guess we can get into that a little bit later once we dig deeper into that. But I do have a digital marketing agency. Been working on that for about 3.5 years now. We serve small and medium-sized e-commerce businesses. Soon, probably also getting into SaaS businesses as well. And then I also build and scale brands of my own. So that's been super fun. And it's been about 5.5 years exactly now.
Damn.
When I got started. So
yeah, I think we all started similar spots, right? Probably 5-6 years
we were
back.
saying in the last episode, like half a decade.
Literally, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
We're still young as hell, but we've been here for a while. So you say you have the agency, brands,
right.
You do YouTube as well too, right?
Yeah, I do a little bit of personal branding that kind of also correlates and ties into coaching and consulting.
Okay.
So I've been consistent on YouTube for about 12 to 13 months now.
Damn.
So that's been super fun, helping people out, getting content out there and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. Have you guys ever done a collab together or no on YouTube?
No, I don't think we have.
Not yet.
We'll
Not
have
yet.
to soon. I mean, this will be the first official collab, but
For sure.
one of many. But I wanted. So let's pull back the curtains a little bit more, because there's probably a lot that has gone on through your life, trials and tribulations to get to where you're at now. So pull back the curtains on the success and go back to, I guess, the moment where it all started. And talk to us about the journey and how you got here and what kind of prompted you, motivated you to get to where you are now.
5 years ago. How the hell did you find this whole world?
Right. So I've told this story to some people before. So essentially, I went to college at Rutgers. Shout out Rutgers.
Shout out Rutgers.
And at the time, I was working at J&J at an IT co-op, Johnson & Johnson, J&J.
Big company.
I was super psyched for this co-op. It was exactly what I was majoring in, IT.
Yeah.
Previously, I was actually majoring in, or was on the pre-med track, but that went super south. But anyway, so this is my sophomore year. Have a 6-month co-op at J&J, and it's lunchtime. Usually, I'm sitting with my other coworkers and colleagues, just chatting about work and stuff like that. But I remember that this specific day, I was just eating down in the cafeteria, watching YouTube. And I came across an ad. I'm pretty sure it's from Mike Vestil. I'm pretty sure
Mike Vestil,
or Mike Vestil. Yeah.
You'll notice that this kid's not the
I have no idea who that is. I'm not good with
personal
YouTubers.
brand guys, all that stuff, but yeah.
And basically, he was proposing, like, imagine making money online. Imagine selling 20 products at $20 a piece. That's $400. Obviously, that's sales.
Yeah.
But that kind of instantly caught my attention.
Like make money online ads.
Make money online.
And videos.
Exactly. And he did briefly mention Shopify, but I didn't know too much about it. I honestly didn't even know it was a e-commerce hosting platform, and some of the biggest brands are hosted on Shopify. So I literally went up and started doing research. Like literally that same day, I went up back to my cubicle, started doing research.
Back to the cubicle.
Right.
That's funny.
Kind of put things off for that day until the next morning. I remember it was a weekend, and I literally found like a bunch of forums and resources and communities and stuff like that about dropshipping, about Shopify more specifically. And I instantly got freaking hooked on. Right.
Yeah.
So weeks go by, I still remember I had like maybe 2 or 3 months left of that co-op. But I was so sucked into this world. I was so intrigued about, starting your own online business, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
And at that time, I was also a part-time student. I was also in a relationship. Not that it was a burden, but I was also still giving that time from my day.
Yeah.
And I was also helping my parents' businesses out and stuff like that during the weekend. So, um, I was kind of blinded by some things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of just into that glorified kind of realm that exists on the other side, which, I had no idea what really consisted of. So, a few weeks go by and, now like I'm working on this day in and day out. Like I'm going to classes at school and this
He's
is
locked into
literally
this,
just
locked in,
right?
for sure.
And, like I on, just Shopify and ecom and stuff like that. And I'll start to coming in to work super, super late too. So again, this kind of just took over everything around me. Like I literally stopped going to parties and stuff like that too. Because I just really just wanted to make this work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So November comes and my manager calls me into her office and, and again, I've gotten a few warnings before this that I'm underperforming. I'm not doing my duties and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I kind of
yeah.
just let it go.
But you're like, I got the Shopify, ding,
right.
ding.
I'm like, honestly, like,
Yeah, you don't care.
it's whatever. Like, I'm honestly not going to end up working corporate. Like, I'm fully set on entrepreneurship at this time.
For sure.
And again, I'm watching other YouTubers and stuff like that too. And it's like glorified and whatnot,
Yeah.
not really diving into the trenches of, what it really consists of,
Yep.
what we all know. So, I basically ended up getting terminated from the
Damn.
co-op. And I thought that was the end of the freaking world. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit. Like, on the other side of my mind, I was like, it doesn't matter. But when that really came to reality, I was like,
Your back's against the wall.
oh shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So I was like, I was driving back to my apartment at school and I was like, I really hope I can look back at this like a few years from now and say like, this was really worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
Blessing in disguise.
Exactly. So that's kind of how I got into Shopify, into e-commerce. Lost my savings. I probably had like 10 or 15K saved as a sophomore in college. I guess you can call that.
How'd you lose all the money?
Just testing.
Just testing and being stupid about
knowing
it.
what the fuck
right.
you're doing.
Yeah.
So I actually lost that. I made about 15 or 17K in those 5 or 6 months from that co-op. I lost that.
Mhm.
Damn.
And then a few months later, my dad was kind enough to lend me about 10K because
Okay.
he also has his own business. So he kind of, gets where I was coming from
Yeah.
at that time. So I lost all of that money too. Right.
Damn.
So,
25 racks.
exactly.
And how old were you?
I was like
22?
like 19, 20.
Oh, I thought you were finishing out college.
No, so
Like
this is like
halfway?
my sophomore, junior year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Of
like the
school.
co-op was like an intern
Yeah,
type of
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
It
It was like
damn.
starting from summer into the fall semester.
Yeah.
So you're just like 19 years old, lost 25K,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
what happened after that?
So now like I'm still going, head forward.
Yeah.
But now I'm also doing school and I had to let down my ego, right?
Got humbled.
Started working a part-time job. I was literally doing like I had 2 phones. I was doing Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. And I literally had in my iPhone notes, and it literally said the amount I had to pay back my dad.
Damn.
And every single thing I got, unless it was for like a necessity I had to really pay for, like rent or stuff like that, I would just give back to my dad.
Yeah.
And just grinding. 8 months go by, and I finally see that amount go zero.
There you go.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's kind of when I really took a step back to take 10 forward. Started working with a mentor. Shout out Nassim from the UK. He's like MIA now.
Most of the good guys do go
Right.
MIA.
So, and then eventually I kind of just went brick by brick, implemented as much feedback as I can into action.
Mm-hmm.
Was way smarter and wiser about my money. I had no sense of financial management. I was not tracking everything and
Yeah.
anything. For example, like, do you know like those big meme pages like Vine and stuff like that, or like Vine reposts?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I used to literally pay, and I still remember this. I used to pay $300 for a story shout out. It would get me no sales, and I would do
And
it
you'd buy
4
another
times
one.
again that same week.
Why were you buying other ones?
You're just hoping one of them will pop off.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And see, like that's the other thing. There wasn't as many resources back then.
Yeah.
It was just like you just don't know what you don't
You're
know.
on your own. It's trial and
Exactly.
error as opposed to learning from
Oh,
someone else.
so you started buying posts. That's like how you started. You weren't running ads.
Yeah, so I lost a majority of that money through influencer marketing,
Yeah.
which is funny because that's how I also started to make most of my initial money
And then and what was the change that happened? The product?
in terms of
Like why on one were you losing? Why on the other one were
Was
you
it like
winning?
more strategy, or do you think more product?
I think it was a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
Getting good at first of all, just being exposed to the market longer over that, year and a half. And then more so strategy too, just doing more due diligence behind an influencer page. Learning how to negotiate, for example, just those little things really added up. So and eventually I started to work with personal influencers too.
Hmm.
I remember I did a promotion with like Black China.
I
last-
remember that when we first met.
Yeah, it was like
We were at Kyle's house and you were telling me
I
that.
remember
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
yes.
big. You
That
spent a
was
lot on that
big.
one.
I did spend a lot, and the return was pretty good. It was
Yeah.
pretty good. It was nothing crazy, but yeah. So that's kind of how it all started, and I kind of transitioned into Facebook. That was my bread and butter for the longest time,
Yeah.
and then kind of just learned the ropes of that too. So
Definitely. So you went from like more drop shipping, right?
yeah,
To kind of learn the ropes of like how to buy ads, how to
Right.
make content,
right.
source products, etc. Do you remember what your first store was? What was your first product you ever sold?
So my first store was called Tech Finest. And
Tech
I
Finest.
outsourced it on Fiverr actually.
Makes
Someone
sense.
made it for me on Fiverr on the Brooklyn theme
Mm.
for like
The
15
OG?
bucks.
15 bucks.
bucks. The OG Brooklyn theme, yeah. My first product, I probably couldn't tell you, man. I mean,
One of the first 10.
one of the first 10.
You got to remember your first winner.
What was
My
your first winner? What was your first
was
winner?
the ponytail beanie.
Oh, okay. I know what
Right,
that is.
yeah.
Beanie that has a slot for a ponytail.
Came
for
out
the
in
Oh,
like
brother.
shoot.
17, 18. Really started popping off in 18.
Yeah. Now, what would you say was that your 20th test, your 50th test?
Oh God.
What numbered
That was
product?
like 50K later.
Paid ads wise, that was probably like my 60th product. Honestly.
Damn.
Yeah.
See, most people get there,
Yeah.
and most people get to 20, and they're
Yeah.
like, "This is a scam."
Right.
Like these YouTubers trying to sell me a course.
Right. Yeah. But like I would say between 40 and 60, like was when I had a proper strategize.
Yeah.
Or a proper strategy, and I was kind of behind everything a little bit more meticulously
Yeah,
too.
makes
and then
sense.
just throwing stuff up
Yeah.
and see what sticks. So yeah, that product made me a good amount of money
Yeah.
and kind of jump started things for me. And then I didn't really know about like white labeling and stuff like that back then.
Mhm.
So kind of just drop ship from China, ran with it, died out after like a few months.
Yeah.
Makes
Tried to bring
sense.
it back the next season, but it didn't really work as well. So
Yeah.
Exactly. And then so you went from that to owning an agency, or was there something in between that kind of happened too?
yeah, so I kind of wanted to, this is like me about 2.5 years into it now. I'm like a senior in college. Was really tempted to drop out, but I didn't, solely in the respect of my parents,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Makes sense.
Like I know the whole like fuck your parents thing, like, but it is
They
what
give
it
you a
is now.
$10,000 loan. Show
Exactly.
respect.
I was
yeah.
like, that's the least I can do, right?
Yeah.
Just have it in my back pocket. Have a
For sure.
degree,
And
have a
I
piece of
say
paper.
$10,000 loan, but like if you actually look at it, most parents actually spend. I think it's upwards of like
Like $1 million
$800 to
on
$1
you.
million by the time you get up to 18.
No way.
During that
Yeah,
period,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the average expense of an adult before you let him go to college, whatever, that doesn't even fucking include college.
Yeah, that's
You know
just
what I
like
mean?
food
They
That's
spend
nuts.
and like
700,
living and all that
now,
stuff.
That's
it's probably
on-
going above $1 million.
And that's like per child or like household?
Per
Per
child.
child.
fucking child.
Yeah.
That is insane.
I guess the least you could do is get the degree,
Yeah,
right?
you
Yeah,
know, the
yeah,
10 grand was
yeah.
like a small glimpse of what they actually
Yeah.
gave you. So
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I'll get this fucking piece of paper for you.
Exactly. So, yeah, I kind of just wanted another stream of income, right?
Yeah.
And like SMMA was also popping around that time.
Yeah.
Made its way into the space and started working with realtors and with mortgage brokers. So
Oh,
I was doing
interesting.
like lead gen for them through Google and through Facebook.
Mhm.
It was working okay, but kind of just realized it wasn't my pond to fish in. So I was like, hey, if I'm driving these results to my own stores, my own brands, why not do the same for other e-commerce business owners, right?
Yeah.
I kind of what also threw me off was like when it comes to that side or that specific niche, you kind of got to educate them and make them understand how this can be beneficial towards their business.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're an e-com, like
Everyone knows
yeah,
it.
like you need some
Everyone
sort of
knows.
paid ads,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like 99% of the time. So
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
it's like a blessing and a curse because they need the service more, but they're unaware of it. Whereas in the e-commerce space, everyone's getting pitched on all these marketing services and this and that.
I
But
agree.
so you end up like commoditizing yourself. If you're reaching people that don't even know they need you, but you can tell them that they do, and they have
Yeah,
more money to spend, like real
right,
estate, higher spending industry, a lot of
right,
times than like startup e-com brands. It's a
right.
good place to
It
be.
was that's a very good point. Plus, it was harder to obtain that proof of concept, like case studies.
Yeah.
Like I had a bunch of case studies from my own Shopify stores,
Mm.
right? That it kind of made it
But you
seem
had
like
none
my
for real
clients.
estate and stuff.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
none. So it was kind
Making it
of
up
a
on the
little bit
fly.
easier to get my foot in the door and just build on that, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
So
Well, one thing I'm curious about, because
yeah,
like I didn't do much of this early on. I think Kyle did some of it. Was
right.
like, how did you like learn, say, social media marketing and e-commerce? Was it like trial and error? I guess you said you had a mentor, but like, did you
Mm,
buy any courses, like stuff like that? I've never bought a course before.
right.
Like I've seen like free ones here and there, but like what actually was like, what helped it make it click, or like was it just like over and over just failing? Like
Just
what was it?
repetition.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely failing. It's definitely repetition when it comes to certain things. I think when it comes to like e-com or drop shipping in more specific, I guess let's talk about that for a bit. Like there's a lot of components in place, right? And a lot of those components have skills and sub skills. Like for example, advertising is a component. A skill, for example, is Facebook ads, and then like a
Hmm.
sub skill is like how to read your metrics, how to make guided, engaged decisions from those metrics,
That
right?
makes
In order
sense.
to scale or do whatever you want. So
Yeah.
I guess it's just breaking things down a little bit further, seeing things from a different view, rather than just putting everything on the plate at once. Like really learning copywriting, understanding copywriting. Obviously, like I wasn't the best, but I had a good gist of it.
Dude,
So
copywriting is important. Like
Yeah.
very important.
people honestly don't even talk about that. Like
Right.
ad copy,
Barely.
like PDP copy, stuff like that.
Landing
Like
page
Exactly.
super
copy,
important.
yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think it was just breaking things down, and then I acquired a mentor. He actually mentored me for free, kind of paid him after.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've never really bought a course. I have nothing against people who sell courses, which is a lot of people in the industry and people who also buy obviously buys courses,
Yeah.
but I think they're only helpful to a certain extent. Like they're very cookie cutter. And I think
Yeah.
everyone's businesses and themselves have different strengths and weaknesses. People learn at different paces in different environments. So
Definitely.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
it's like subjective in a way. So that's kind of just one reason I will probably never put out like a full A to Z course. Nor have I bought a course before too. But again, I have
Sure.
nothing against them.
No, some courses are
Right.
good. You know what I mean?
Right. They are good.
Like I've gotten like free courses that were actually paid, like a few $1,000 courses. Like they're good. I just like don't know. I've never paid for one. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right.
So
Same.
and never talking bad about them, but like
Right.
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
just curious because like a lot of people are probably wondering like how the hell did you even get here, right? Like
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, I tried 6 different products, but like in reality, like what did that look like day to day? And you're just like, hey, I had a mentor. I kept trying, kept losing
Right.
money. Like at a point, something works, right? Like
Right. And I think one thing that now that I'm thinking about is like I started to surround myself with other people who are doing the same thing.
that's
Mm.
true.
People who are making more money than I was, or even people who are at the same level as me. So we can kind of discuss at
Yeah.
at that level, share ideas, see what's working, see what's not working. So by then I also started a Facebook group called Ecom Masterminds, and it's still running. It's not as active. I'm more active on Telegram and Discord and YouTube now, but I initially started that Facebook group just to kind of document my journey. And over time, it grew to like a few thousand members.
That's
So
awesome.
I met a lot of people that way, going back to my point. And I think just sharing ideas with each other and just conversing really helped too. I think like building yourself a little network is very important because
Yeah.
um, again, like there's a lot of noise in this space, as y'all know.
A lot of
Yo.
noise in
Right?
this
So it's
space,
very
yeah.
easy to get sidetracked. It's very easy to get scammed. That's part of the reason why I lost a few $1,000s just getting scammed and
Oh,
stuff.
shit.
Right? So
Damn.
yeah, I think it was just a little bit of input from all areas, just being wiser,
For sure.
making better decisions, having that network, having that support system, having my mentor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Cool. I kind of want to pivot the conversation. So you mentioned that you got that loan from your dad, and I think a lot of people's entrepreneurial upbringings are kind of influenced by either like how they're raised or like, what their parents' occupations were, or their limiting beliefs often kind of trickle into their kids. Or if they have successful businesses, their kids can sometimes be pumped, and it can be the total opposite, right? Their parents
Right.
can be like broke, and then the kids are now motivated to now do well because of the upbringing. So I guess like what did your parents do, and what do they do now, I guess, for work? And
Right.
how do you think the way that they maybe raised you shaped what caused you to, or what allowed you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, you know, I would say I come from like a upper middle class family. Thankfully, I never had, like a shortage of shelter or food or
Yeah.
anything like that, which I'm super, super grateful about. I wouldn't say, I was given like a golden spoon or like a trust fund or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
My family's not that wealthy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, both of my parents come from an entrepreneurial background, especially my dad. He emigrated into this country when he was probably like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
So he's been here for some time now. And, he started working in a liquor store,
Okay.
and then he kind of did like a computer science degree for a little bit, but never really finished that because
Mm.
like the store was bringing
That's like
him
the
a lot of
classic,
money.
like
Yeah.
immigrant story. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, but right now we have, or he has two stores. Thinking of getting rid of both of them, and he's also a real estate agent too. So he does that
Dang.
on
That's awesome.
part-time, and then once
Hustler.
he retires in like a year or two, he's probably just gonna be a broker or just keep doing real estate.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
yeah, so my mom's been helping him with that for like a year or two now too. So he likes that better.
Yeah.
So
So I guess
um
so seeing, or them seeing that, your parents, your dad was able to achieve a certain level of success without necessarily finishing his education.
right.
Why do you think there was such a push to have you finish yours?
You always want the next generation to do better, right?
Right.
And again, like better is like because they wanted that safety net, right? And also, I guess me being an only child, I think like it's not so much pressure, but there was that expectation, like because
Yep.
we want you to excel and just maximize your potential at everything. Like I feel like my dad's been someone who's always finished something that he started,
Mm.
so I guess that kind of rubbed off on me too. Um, But yeah, I mean, my dad, he was super doubtful of this whole dropshipping
No,
e-com
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
All of our
like,
parents were,
super
Because the way he
freaking
built his
doubtful.
businesses were traditional. It wasn't
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
new
Very
Wi-Fi
traditional.
money. Yeah.
Exactly. Like all this stuff is very
Wi-Fi
foreign.
money.
Wi-Fi money.
That's his license plate.
I know. I saw that.
Yeah, it's
Ecom
called
K
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi money
Wi-Fi.
over here. But like, back to the school thing. 'Cause I know a lot
Yeah,
of people
yeah.
like kind of in that age group where like they're either in college or they're in high school about to go to college or
Right.
like thinking about college stuff like that. Like, do you
Right.
think like if you were to do it again, would you go to
Mm.
college and do it again?
So,
Like, what are your thoughts on just college in general?
So-
with this
What'd you get
whole
out of
thing? Would you get out of it?
I mean, I went to a top 10 school. It was a state school. So, I mean, I had a blast, like my social circles were great. In terms of how much I actually used for my degree, like I ended up double majoring in economics and IT.
And you use none of it.
Barely, maybe some IT.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
yeah.
you know, I think I was in that area where like I started when I was in school and not after school. Like I know a lot of people finish school and then they start a business,
Yeah.
right? Where like the cards are handed out a little bit differently then because there's more baggage.
Yeah,
you're like out of
exactly.
school, this
And you have
that.
that degree, like, well, I'm not using it now. Like, what's going on? This type of thing.
Exactly. I think it's different for everyone. I think you just got to weigh out what makes the most sense. Like they say, like high risk, high reward. You can take those risks in your early 20s and fail for years and, still be fine at 25, 26.
For sure.
I mean, but in my mind, I kind of closed out that plan B. Like I only had a plan A in my mind. I was like, I don't care how many years this takes,
Yep.
but I'm gonna do it, So I think because of that shift of mindset, ever since I was working at J&J, caused me to just really never take my foot off the gas this whole time. So
Yeah, you have a chip on your shoulders. You gotta make it happen
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I know, you found a decent amount of success, and then you kind of had this newfound passion for, I guess, giving and also teaching a little bit. So
Right.
you created a YouTube channel. I
Right.
guess what
Definitely.
sparked that? And do you think maybe it had to do with someone someone who came into your life and helped you get into it, right? Like the mentor you were talking about,
Mhm.
and seeing how much that had an impact on your career, on your life, on your business. Do you think that maybe motivated you to help others as well, kind of pass the baton off?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, you're pretty spot on with that. Yeah, it's great to help others. It's great for also networking purposes too, just to kind of,
Yep.
get in touch with other people in the space and outside of the space too. And, I guess to kind of create a legacy, like I'm pretty sure YouTube's not going anywhere, hopefully.
Yeah.
No, it's not
But,
going anywhere.
Yeah.
like even having content, I mean, I don't know what kind of content's going to be out there, like in terms of forms of videos in like 50, 60 years,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just something to kind of leave behind.
For
Like I
sure.
used to put these kinds of videos online and stuff like that. So I think it's a great feeling. It's cool. It really kind of brings out like the creative side of me in certain ways.
Mm.
So um, it's different than just kind of sitting down, head down on your laptop. You get a
Definitely.
little bit of a time to film and make content and just have fun with it. So
Yeah.
I think it's a
Yeah.
little bit of two things.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean,
Yeah.
like when we're building businesses, everything is so analytical, and you don't get to bring that kind of creative side or element
Right.
out of you. So
Right.
that's it's nice to be able to do that.
Right.
For sure.
I agree.
I'm kind of curious on the YouTube channel too. Like, give some game to the people here. Like, how'd you grow it? Like, if you had to give advice to somebody who's starting a YouTube channel right now, like,
Right.
how do you get to like
Yeah,
5K
I'll
subs,
tell you-
7K subs, 10K
I'll tell you right now,
subs?
because we were both probably at around like 5K at the same time,
Yeah.
maybe like 8 months ago, 9 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the difference was you just continued posting and I just didn't.
Exactly.
And now you're at like 7K and I'm still stuck around probably like 5.5K, something like
Right.
that. So yeah.
Yeah. YouTube's dope. I think whatever, like there's a niche and there's an audience for everything, right? So I think consistency is one of them. Like I know
That's what I sucked at.
YouTube
Yeah.
rewards consistency. Like the algorithm likes consistency. Like posting on a certain day of the week, or if you post Mondays and Fridays and stick to that schedule for at least a few months,
Yeah.
right? Try and post within like a certain time range. Like if you post your videos between 11 and 2 p.m., then always post between 11 and 2 p.m.
Makes
On
sense.
Yeah.
YouTube, you can also schedule videos, so you don't even have to really do anything in terms of posting them, being physically there at least.
Yeah.
Other than that, just don't overthink it. Be you. I think even like when it comes to the educational side of things, like when it comes to ecom, crypto, finance, content, I think people, I guess, glorify certain things to the
get
extent
views.
where it's just like, come
To get
on now,
views,
right?
Like
know?
Shiba
Yeah.
Inu coin or
Exactly.
something, right?
Yeah.
So just be genuine, like do it because you really want to help people. I mean, yeah, like the Google AdSense sponsorships and affiliates are all like a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
So, which is also cool, right? Because there are other streams of income. But I think just genuinely doing it because you want to help people,
Definitely.
and just guide people towards the right direction. I feel like I was misled so many times,
Yeah.
so many times. It's kind of crazy to really think about. So, I always make sure there's as much transparency as possible.
Definitely.
I try and even get to like as many DMs per week as I can. Like I set 2 time blocks during the week, like 30 minutes where I'm just answering DMs and going into my
Yeah.
groups and stuff like that.
For
So
sure.
it's just an overall good feeling,
Yeah,
Definitely.
I guess spinning off of that, because I experienced a phase myself of probably like a good year or two where, because I put myself out there, my content, I was networking with people, and people saw that I knew my shit and they
Mhm.
wanted to extract that from me.
Yeah,
People started taking advantage of my time, and I started to let them for a good period of time,
same.
where like
Yeah.
I'd be messaging people for 2-3 hours a day on Instagram, and I'd be like valuing my follower count a lot, or looking at the subscriber count go up, and I'd care more about others than actually focusing on my own businesses. Have you ever seen doing that get in the way of your own stuff, or have you always found a good balance between helping others and being able to still juggle your own businesses?
No, I think I was also, I guess, victim of that too. Just being so focused on like the vanity metrics,
Yeah.
just having to think like, oh, I have to be accountable to, getting back to all these people.
All these
I
DMs.
gotta
whatnot.
clear out all my DMs. I
Yeah.
hate
Yeah.
having like DMs that are left open. So I'm
I
like,
hate that.
I would go through like 50 in a day, and I'm like,
Right.
why am I doing this? Like everyone's asking the same question. How do I find a winning product? How do I
Right.
do? I'm like, I could just make a YouTube video and hit
Yeah.
all of them and say, hey, just go watch this.
Right.
I don't got time for this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I started doing. I guess it's also like my personality. Like I'm like a perfectionist. Like I'm kind of OCD in certain ways. So like
Me too.
just seeing like 12 DMs from people who want help, especially, and me not answering them just kind of killed me, right?
Yeah.
But then it got to a point where like it was taking over a lot of my mental energy and also time.
Yeah.
It just
Definitely.
didn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you practically can't answer everyone,
Yeah.
especially when you're growing and going up the ladder. Like,
No,
you
I
know,
I think like as all of us like kind of get, I could call it more successful, businesses get bigger, time is actually crazy. Like I was even thinking today in the car when I was driving to work today, like work meaning just like my warehouse, whatever. Like damn, like I really have to pick and choose like who I talk to, what I do, my
yeah,
actions are like, because like every action has like a different value to it, right? So if you're doing actions that like don't have an ROI, it just doesn't make sense. And like
Yeah.
I kind of want to hit on that. Like, what do you spend your day doing? Like
Right.
walk me through a day. Right? Like, what, are you spending time on YouTube, on drop shipping, on your own brands, on your media, like on your social media
Marketing
company,
agency.
marketing
Right.
agency? Like, where do you spend your time right now?
yeah. No, like, are you asking me? Or
I'm
like,
asking you, like, yeah,
okay.
like day to day. Where do you spend your time? Yeah, for sure.
So every day is different, which is what I like.
Mhm.
It's not mundane, thankfully. So I try and get involved in different areas. Some days of the week I'm putting more time into creating content for my brand. Sometimes I'm putting in more time, kind of refining my coaching program, right? So, but usually it's, I would say, mostly into my brands over the last 8 to 12 months. My agency, I have pretty much taken care of with, my VAs and full and part-time employees.
That's
So
awesome.
usually I'm spending like maybe 3 to 7 hours a week on the agency. We also haven't taken any new clients over the past 6 months.
Oh
Like a lot
wow.
of these clients have been just with us for like the longest time. Like I was telling you
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
end of 2020.
That's crazy.
One or two
Yes.
might outgrow us, which is kind of a good thing. Like that's like a good feeling because we got them to like
Yeah.
we like got them to that point. But most of it's just my brand and just recording content and stuff like that. So a lot of the time I do admin work at night. I always kind of get tasks that will yield a result me like in an ROI,
Yeah.
done like the first half of the day.
Okay.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'll just play things by ear, just kind of go with the flow
For sure.
and see what's up. I don't like to set like there's certain things that are always a part of my schedule, like going to the
Yeah.
gym, taking a cold shower, meditating, journaling, reading, taking some
Yeah.
time out for myself, listening to music. Like those are already engraved into like my schedule for like years now.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
obviously I'll like adapt as I move forward, as I learn different things and stuff like that. But in terms of work, it's always different. Like there's no, strict cutout unless like I have to do something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I get one of my questions, I guess, is which I think is an important one that I ask myself a lot, and I don't always know the answer to, and I should, and I think we all should,
Mm.
is like, what's the goal out of all this business stuff? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a good question. Like
Oh, God,
actually,
that
Like,
question.
you know what I mean?
Um,
It's open ended, but it's like, what's your why?
Right.
Why are you working 12-hour days sometimes? What's the end goal? Because honestly, like, it's like, all right, you get a house, you get the car, you have the time freedom to be able to travel.
Right.
It's like,
you
what
got the cash in the
what
bank. Like what else
you
after
got,
that?
you got the cash. It's like, what's the ultimate goal?
Yeah. So I guess it'll kind of alter a little bit year by year, but at least for now, like I definitely want to have a big exit, maybe in my 30s or something, out of an e-commerce brand. I
Yeah.
really want to get into clothing and have it as a passion project and just grow that over time. So whatever it really may be, just have an exit and I guess give people opportunities, right? Like give people different job opportunities, create that for them.
For sure.
Especially like the whole making money online. Like I know now it's more normalized because after COVID, like a lot of people or like a lot of jobs have people transitioning into working from home. But in terms of like creating that freedom of time and location, so I think just providing people with that same opportunity, hiring more people, building a big team,
hmm
I think that's what I really foresee in like the next 5 years. And then just kind of see that goes like, I think there's a certain point where like it's not even about the money, like
Yeah.
going to different panels or hosting your own like panels and stuff like that even. So
Yeah, some of that stuff is cool, right? When like people invite you to chat and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
it's super cool, and I think it all starts somewhere. So I think someday I would definitely like to host like my own event, maybe like co-host or something like that.
That'd be pretty
with
sick. Yeah,
people in the space.
Yeah.
So kind of just delivering to people, empowering people, creating those job opportunities and stuff like that. And yeah, that is
yeah.
basically, what I foresee. And then obviously like everything else is just extra, right? Like all the investments and assets and all that just comes with it. But
Definitely.
in terms of actually like growing something, making an impact, actually, like that's why I like D2C so much, because you're actually like bringing a product to people's hands that adds some sort of value to their lives.
Yeah.
Like I want someone to see my product and be like, damn, like I can't wait to use it. Cool, just being part of a D2C ecom brand.
Yeah, and I guess building off that, when you have a product that's good and that you're happy about getting to other people, rather than a product that's like, you're kind of on the fence for, you're drop shipping it, you never touched it, you don't know the quality, so you're
Right.
kind of like I don't know how great that I feel about selling a product that I don't know if it's going to get to them in a timely manner. I don't know if it's going to be broken, damaged, whatever. You almost, when you have your own brand, you have your own product, it's it's going to get to them, and it's going to solve a problem, or it's going to help provide a convenience or something big.
Right.
Then you almost have a sense of obligation to sell it to as many people as possible.
Right.
And that's like an additional motivating factor to like push it out more. Whereas with dropshipping, it's like, yeah, I'm getting money out of this, but am I really like motivated? Is this really something that's going to help change somebody's life or solve a problem or do something where it's meaningful enough for me to feel an obligation to sell it?
Mhm.
So when you have that obligation, when you have a good product, it's a totally different level of scale and commitment to the business for sure.
100%.
Yeah, no. It's kind of funny because like both you guys, it's like as I kind of get more deeper, we get more clients, stuff like that for the 3PL. Guys like both of you guys have actually helped a lot of people. Like I don't know if you guys both know it, but like when I talk to like new brands coming up or kind of brands that we want to work with, I just drop like Kyle and Yash, and they're like, oh, like I met Kyle or Yash like 3 years ago. Like they used to DM me on Instagram,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And like, because to me, it's like I've known you guys for a while now, just my boys.
Right.
To them, they're like, no, like, dude, they sent me like this YouTube video, like they like spend hours with me on Instagram. Like I was like, wow, like I've never done like the personal brand stuff, so like I really can't allude to that. But
yeah,
even back to like your goal, right? Just like helping people, trying to like actually give value. Like it's kind of funny because I see it in the background,
Right.
and I laugh a little sometimes. I'm like, these are just like normal guys, like they're my boys.
Yeah.
But like from the other lens, like these people are like, they actually like love you guys, right? Like what you guys actually do to the community is big time, like give back your time, give back tips, stuff like that. And that's like kind of what I want to go into, because I think that'd be really valuable for people watching.
100%.
Is all guys like in our space, especially when you kind of get to a solid level, there's all like game that we all know. Like there's all like just shit that we all know that like it's not like that everybody knows, right?
Right.
So what's kept?
Yeah, a little gate kept. Like I want to give some of it out right now. Like a little free stuff, like no course, none of that. Like spit some game. Like tell me something that you see is popping off right now that you think that could work, that isn't really like
maybe popularly known.
Like something you think that like you see like with in e-commerce or like agencies, even on YouTube, just like somewhere where you're like, all right, like this is like a little arbitrage that like is working, a little nugget. I'll put you on the spot, but
it's
like,
a little open-ended,
but I think it's worth it.
Let's break it down to each category. So let's do e-commerce. So what do you see working now, maybe that you don't talk about as much, or that is something that someone who does have an e-commerce brand can take and implement that maybe they weren't focusing enough on, or that not a lot of people like know to put a lot of time and attention towards?
Right. And you probably know where I'm going with this, because it's the first thing that pops up on the top of my head. But it's actually crazy because not a lot of bigger brands do this. And what I'm talking about is TikTok. Right. And I mean, it's true. Like there's so much opportunity on that platform if you utilize it the right way. Obviously, like it's harder, but that's what happens. It's just supply demand, right? As every social media platform grows. But yeah, like a lot of bigger brands are slacking and they're leaving out so much money on the table. I think this side or kind of this topic is talked about a lot on YouTube lately, but I still feel like not a lot of people know about it.
So what's working on TikTok?
So if you have a really low budget or no budget at all, there's the strategy called the organic TikTok posting strategy.
Yeah, that's good. We got some game. Let's hear it out. What is it?
Organic TikTok posting is, and again, this can work 100% fine for drop shipping. So, you know, you build out your store, you have a product, you order the product to your house, and
I'm smiling because I know it's a good strategy that people don't talk
right?
about.
No, I mean, I started
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a year and a half ago, and like it's freaking insane, like the amount of results. I mean, that brand right there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're looking right at it.
Right,
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and now you've never had higher margins ever with paid
No.
ads as opposed to with
Yeah,
TikTok
like,
organic.
Yeah, those guys ripped with
I know, like
with
they made
organic.
like fucking
Like,
400K in a week net
Yeah.
or something.
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's,
yeah. With no ad spend.
But yeah,
Yeah.
No
exactly.
ad spend.
So I think like organic TikTok is like the greatest opportunity in ecom ever in terms of getting sales and traffic to your Shopify store as quickly as possible.
And also barrier of entry too.
And
Yeah, you
barrier
need
of
no money to
entry.
do it. You
Right.
just have to post.
All you need to do is order the product. You know, it costs anywhere from $5 to $30 depending on what the product is. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can return that if it doesn't
Yeah,
work.
you
Yeah,
can.
right?
That's funny. I didn't
So
even
like
think of that.
within 30 days, you know, granted, like all the components and everything is aligned. If that product doesn't work, like return it.
Yep.
Have three or four other products ready to go in the pipeline.
yeah.
Right? Like
Yep.
start brainstorming about that, build out the product pages. But yeah, TikTok organic's great. Like, you know, literally posting 3 to 5 times a day. I usually start out by 2 different accounts, whichever one takes off within a week. I really just hone down and double down on that
Definitely.
account.
Have
But
have you ever had to purchase a new device in order to try to re-spark the algorithm if you had like a blacklisted account or device or anything like that?
No. So what I've been doing recently, I know people who have done that,
Like
but
VPNs.
right. I haven't done it. I haven't really need to. What I've been doing recently is I have a bunch of friends and family members, cousins and nieces and nephews on the younger side who don't post on TikTok, but they just use the account to watch videos and engage with
Interesting.
videos and stuff like that. So, and again, this can go both ways, but I would say 7 out of 10 times if it's worked really, really well, is they'll log out. I'll just log in, rebrand it, and then a lot of times the first, second, or third video will just pop off.
Yeah.
Obviously, it has to be a good video,
And that's
right?
and
But-
remind me that's on one of your like friends or siblings or family
Right.
members' devices.
right,
Got it.
right.
Interesting.
So there is an element of like, you know, if you have 3 or 4 brands that you've tried on different individual TikTok accounts on one device,
Right.
and like maybe the first one pops up, the other ones are kind of like not getting a lot of traction.
Right.
You might want to pivot to a different device
Exactly.
and get, you know, re-spark new momentum.
My thinking, and again, it might be deeper than this, maybe not. Like my thinking is because like, and I think TikTok is like, oh, this account has existed for like a year and a half, and they've never posted on it, right? Like, and then as soon as they post on it, TikTok's like, or the algorithm is like, oh, let's give this video a boost right away.
That's true, because like it's been on the platform.
It's been on the platform and they haven't been posting. Like, what are you doing? Like, look at the potential that
Interesting.
the platform can have. So
that gets me thinking, like,
right.
because you can go on Fiverr, you can go on Upwork, you can find aged organic TikTok accounts. I don't want to drop too much game here, but I mean, you know, when you think about it, you can go out and you can actually intentionally find those things.
Right.
You know, find a friend's device or a VA or someone who is in the United States or whatever your target demographic is, and you know, you can put 2 and 2 together. If you combine those things, then the opportunity to go viral
Right.
can increase, especially if you've like fatigued a device or something.
For sure.
So
Right.
yeah, I mean that kind of had another question that spun off of that with TikTok. I guess it's more of a comment. Like, as much as you and I might say that, right? TikTok is the move. You got to get on it. You got to get on organic ads. I think the combination of organic and ads is also one of the most powerful like opportunities now, because there's something called Spark ads,
Right.
which are when you host your organic post within your ads manager and you kind of boost in the algorithm. And it happens, you have the paid ad traction, but then it also boosts the post organically.
It's
If
a
you-
win-win.
If you have hashtags, if you have all these things that are attached to it and you're reaching a certain market. We had a client, for example, because I have a marketing agency as well. We had a client that we scaled up to around 15, 20K a day, and she ran out of inventory. So we had to let off the gas of ads. And we were probably spending, you know, 2K a day to make like 6 or 7K a day on TikTok. So nothing crazy, but it was pretty good relative to what we were getting on Facebook, probably like a 2.5 return. We were getting well over a 3 consistently for weeks on end. And we turned off the ads and we noticed that there was only like a dip of like maybe 2 or 3K a day in performance. And specifically and exclusively from TikTok, we were still getting like 70% of what we were before from ads. So it's like, that was like real evidence that it continues to rank for couple of days, a couple of weeks, sometimes even a couple of months, it might trickle off a little bit, but it ranks beyond just the organic side of things. So when you look at like the paid ROAS, for example, of TikTok ads, when you're using Spark ads, it's not just the 2 ROAS you're getting today. It's going to also maybe be an extra 0.5 return, or an extra couple of sales you're going to get from that creative over the course of the next couple of weeks. Right. So, and I think as much as we say, hey, TikTok is the move, right, a lot of people just don't do it. And they don't grab a device. They don't take the tick because they're like, that's a kid's dancing app.
Well, if you don't want to do it, you can just pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could pay somebody like $500 a month and they'll post it,
I mean,
20, 30 videos.
Yeah.
See, like, that's the thing. Like, if you want to get into the game, you can't half-ass it. Like,
that's true.
Like,
yeah.
Everyone, like, again, everyone's speaking. If you want to get into the game, like, literally take 40 minutes out, post or schedule 5 videos for the day after. Keep them in your drafts. Like, it doesn't take that long once you really get the hang of it.
Yeah. No, e-commerce is great, especially like when you're starting up, because all you need is like $30 for a Shopify account, buy a domain for like 10 or whatever the hell it is, and then you can just do TikTok organic, and then next thing you know, you can do like a few $100 in a day.
Right.
And then you can just reinvest that into ads.
Right.
Like,
it's a really good, again, it's very low barrier, and it's a good way to just getting a good perspective of how social media works, how every platform works, right? And then getting into the technical side of things. Because obviously for consistency, longevity, and scalability, you need to obviously learn media buying and kind of what goes into that, which is way more intricate. But I mean, I've seen like just teenagers like make so much money. Like,
it kind of pisses you off
insane.
sometimes,
Yeah,
because you're like, I know that I lost 30 grand or 40 grand in my first year of e-commerce.
Yeah.
And these kids just like pop a little TikTok and made 100 grand in a day, you know? So, but it's also like, you can also just see it as an opportunity. There's so much like content and information out there to be able to reverse engineer exactly what they did.
Right.
So you look at the formats and there's like, dude, some of these videos are weird. They're like so cringy. Weird. They're like my stepsister, all these things.
Oh my God.
And those are the ones that pop off.
Those are the ones that crush it. And so that's the thing. Like, this is where there's a fine line, especially us being in like the agency servicing space.
Right.
That's where there's a fine line between like preserving brand integrity and then having like just these 6-figure day pump and dump drop shipping stores.
Yeah,
it's really, you have to like kind of find that middle balance, you know, that middle ground of like controversy where you get the comments going, and that's what allows videos to go viral. Or like, but also like professionalism where, you know, if it's a product that has a really, really meaningful purpose and it's not getting out there because you aren't doing the stepsister videos, then it's like, then they got to do something to adjust the algorithm. You know, that's a different conversation, because we all know who owns the platform, and we all know that their intentions might not be to, you know, show you the most relevant content that's going to grow you as a person, but just to consume as much content as possible.
I think so.
So
yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah. I think another cool thing that we've seen too, it's like if you are building all this content on TikTok right now, a new thing that's working, like, for one of our buddies, is taking those videos and putting them on YouTube Shorts.
Right, Shorts and Reels.
Yeah. Shorts and Reels.
The repurposement of content.
Because Instagram and YouTube want to compete with TikTok now, right? So because they want to compete with TikTok, they want to boost those posts, the content, right? So if you're taking it from, you're already making the video, right? So now rather than just posting it one place, you post it 3 places. Yeah. And now you just build out a huge audience on 3 different platforms, which is even better than just one platform, you know? So there's a lot with it.
I agree. Yeah, I think everyone should, like, as soon as a product gains some traction, some proof of concept through TikTok, I think you should literally post, you know, every single video on YouTube and on Instagram too. Because again, a video on TikTok, like that same video, let's call it video A, that can have 50K views. But through Reels, it can gain like 1 million.
Literally.
It can just, I don't know, hit the algorithm.
And then on YouTube, another 800,000. It's like,
Exactly. So like, you never know, but you won't know until you do it. So definitely like, just, it takes literally not too long to just download it without the watermark, repost, you know, so just get into that habit of doing that, especially once something is working. And then you can, you know, use a lot of those creatives for paid ads. Obviously, it's a hit or miss, but you at least have an idea of what kind of content works. Because there's a reason why out of 400 videos you posted, hypothetically, like 4 or 5 went viral and the others didn't.
Yeah, there's a reason for it.
Kind of, you know, you're kind of skipping that creative testing phase and kind of just go straight into it with the creatives that are banging right off the bat.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because like you have a winning creative, and then you know that this probably will work on paid media on any platform. So you can just use it, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, back and forth, you know. That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So I got a curveball question for you.
Curveball.
So first I gotta ask this guy because he doesn't know
So-
who the fuck anyone is. Do you know who Andrew Tate is?
Yeah, I know it.
Of course you do. All right.
I know who Andrew
So-
Tate is.
Question, because I think it'll spark an interesting
Are
conversation.
we allowed to say that on
Hold
YouTube?
What?
Andrew Tate? Because my Bugatti, it's
It's
pink.
all right. We're not monetized.
Yeah,
We're
that's
not-
true. That's
we're
true.
not- So my question is, what is your opinion on him?
Oh man.
I'm curious.
I've never consumed, to be real, I've never consumed so much of his content. Like, I haven't went out of my way to consume of his content.
Yeah.
I know,
But you've seen it. It's impossible to miss it.
exactly, because it's the way he kind of played things out. Right?
He's nice with the TikTok organic. He's nice with it. Yeah.
And yeah, it's crazy because like there's other people reposting his content,
Mm.
right? Like it's not even him.
You know what? You know why it's happening, right?
I mean, I definitely want more insight into it. I know it's part of like a multi-step
It's like a pyramid
plan, but I know like he has a Hustlers University and stuff.
He's basically got a Discord, like kind of like a coaching program, and there's an affiliate section. And so, you know, it raises a lot of questions, but you know, from the business perspective, the guy's a genius. There's no question about that.
Crazy marketer.
Yeah.
It's
insane. He broke the internet for like a good month.
Says a lot of controversial thing, gets on a lot of podcasts, and then, you know, podcasts like this where you can repurpose a shit ton of that short form content.
Right.
That's what allowed him to grow. So it kind of plays on what we were just talking about. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting conversation because when you know, for me personally, I think him in general, I kind of look at people, especially influencers, creators that have a very big influence. It's like, I try to look at it black and white. Like, is this a net positive in the world or is it a net negative? And I think overall for me, it's been a net positive. Like the things that he says, some of the things in the messaging, bringing awareness to like things that go on in certain areas.
Alpha.
And also, I don't, obviously there's a ton of shit that all of us disagree with. And there's a lot of things that we can agree with. But I think in general, it's, you know, there's a lot of been, you know, talking in like absolutes of like, this is how it is, when in reality, you know, they're not factual, they're all opinions.
right.
So I think like, you know, part of that is, you know, I guess it's opinions, facts, all these different things. Moral of the story, he ended up getting banned on Instagram, right?
Canceled.
So do you think that someone who has strong viewpoints of something, but isn't necessarily, you know, that's not necessarily putting them in like harm's way, for example? So there's social media accounts that like post nudity or that like condone violence, all these different things. They're not banned, right? They're still up. There's always going to be hundreds of thousands of them. But then someone like this who comes in, you know, has a controversial opinion, then gets banned, right? What's your take on that?
God, I mean, what's my take in terms of like the result of him being banned? Or like,
Well, do you think he should be banned?
Just the social media platform
Yeah, yeah.
and a kind of this higher level problem.
nowadays, like anything rolls on social media, right? And especially when it comes to like certain areas or topics, you know, people are kind of expected to keep mum because like that can spark up just
Uproar.
a lot of uproar, right?
Yeah.
I think every one of the things that he was saying were like they had a play behind them. Like he said those things obviously on purpose to get
Push people's buttons.
Yeah, exactly. So I personally think he has a bigger play in mind though. I heard him say somewhere, and again, this may or may not be true, that you know this is a part of like a 4 or 5 level
Step plan, yeah.
and like he's gonna come back around and come
Yeah.
back stronger and better. So I don't know. I really don't know. I
Yeah.
mean,
He did break the algorithm though.
He did. And I
he
think
did,
a lot
he
of
did.
people now
People were
are
upset that he broke it.
people are upset. A lot of people are copying him as well. They're doing the exact same approach. They're trying to get on podcasts. I don't want to name a couple of names, but there's a lot of people that I respect more than him that are kind of copying the strategy in order to try to achieve the same level of growth.
I think I know one specific. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I think I know one specific person, but obviously we're not gonna name
But it's
drop.
smart, right? Because you
Name drop.
you look at that and it's kind of, you know, exactly what we were talking about. You know, when you see a brand that has done well, for example, one like that with a good product that you want to kind of reverse engineer, then there's a power in reverse engineering it and then replicating what worked and not
Exactly.
reinventing the
Yeah, we
wheel.
should get those guys on. That's an easy one.
Yeah, we-
yeah, they
100%.
can easily come on.
We will,
Yeah,
we will
yeah,
soon.
yeah.
But I think that element of it also kind of ties into it, right? So like people are not creating. There's not a lot of new things in the marketplace, a lot of uniqueness in terms of growth, content style, things like that. So I think he kind of pioneered this thing, and now I think there's going to be a big shift in long form content and then clipping that into short form content and trying to make yourself look better or talking in absolutes, right? And having controversial opinions just to kind of spark the algorithm and to spark the comment section. And I think a lot of it's tough because he probably says a lot of things that he does intentionally mean maybe one sentence of a 3-sentence thing that he says, where the other 2 are exaggerations just to push people's buttons.
Right.
And I think it's smart, but I also think it can be very misleading. And a lot of people, they speak in absolutes. And when you talk to them in person, you're like, that's not like really what you think, or at least how you surround yourself around me. That's just kind of how you're portraying yourself on social media and pushing it to the limit just for views, you know? And I think it can be the similar thing with a product that might suck on social media, but the way that they make the video for views to get sales and then deliver a really shit product and have all these problems on the back end, it kind of goes full circle. But yeah, there's not really a question with that. I'm just kind of chatting here. But
No, that was interesting. No, yeah, Andrew Tate, he definitely pushed buttons, but
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like every few years there's like,
well, it was Ty Lopez like a few years
dude,
back.
you literally took
Yeah,
words out of my
same
mouth.
idea.
Like every few years there's that like one alpha that just
pioneers something,
like a specific tonality or a direction of again what's gonna hit that algorithm, and then more people
But
follow that.
he came back hard though. Ty Lopez.
Did
He
he?
started buying up all these businesses.
yeah.
Where he bought up like
Dress barn linens and things. Like
Modell's.
Damn.
He bought up like maybe 4 or 5 like big
Steinmart.
retailers that closed all their retail stores and made them all e-commerce brands. Radio Shack
Wow.
was another one,
Yeah.
and he combined them all. So like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he just made a bag off of the core selling and
A
everything.
lot of them probably sold the business for like less than the value of the inventory alone.
Because they were going out of business, and he's like,
Yeah.
well, the brand's like pretty solid.
Right.
I know e-commerce, right? I can combine them all to drive traffic together.
Right.
You can make a deal happen, you know?
I think his ad on YouTube, like the here in my garage.
In my garage
right?
with the books and the Lambo.
Lamborghini.
I think I don't know if I'm 100% right, but I think that specific ad, and there's probably like different variations of it, but that generated like I think it was like on the top 10 list of like largest ROI or
Yeah.
something like
Damn.
that through like
Largest
Google.
ROI, most views, probably.
Yeah.
Probably had over a
It's,
billion views.
Like and like it was used as a meme, like it still is.
Mm.
So
And he's still probably getting
exactly.
an ROI off of it.
and
even
you
without
know,
even buying
all
the ad.
publicity is good publicity. So whenever someone says that, they're like, well, someone will intro a video, here in my garage, and people will be like, what is that? And then someone will comment Ty Lopez, and now he just got a new fan, new follower.
Best
funny.
marketing is word of mouth.
Yeah, literally.
most
Yeah, it is.
powerful.
And it's the most
Yeah.
it's most powerful, it's the hardest too.
It is.
It is the
spe-
hardest.
Speaking about Ty Lopez, I don't want to get some like defamation thing going on here, but I just from observation, I see that his business, I know Fabletics did this as well. There was an element of their checkout that they actually had these sales on, or like insane deals on shorts. Have you guys seen the Fabletics like 2 for 24 deals anywhere?
Yeah.
Bro, they're everywhere. And so if you look deeper into it, none of us are going in and actually buying the Fabletics shorts. But if you look deeper into it, you're like, all right, 2 for 24, that's a pretty good deal. You actually go through the checkout and there's an element of it that subscribes you to something.
Right.
And you're like, what am I subscribing to? And it's like this $50 quarterly or a $50 semi-annually. So you pay $50 every 6 months to get access to exclusive discounts and all these things. But it's done in a very kind of shady and meticulous way.
I think I saw Kevin Hart post a shout out
promoting
or an
it.
ad.
Oh,
And
really?
he probably doesn't even know what's going on
no, he's just
structurally behind the scenes.
He's just getting the bag. Okay,
He's getting the
like-
bag.
And so I don't want to throw out any
Yeah.
words, but
Yeah.
some would see that as kind of an unethical business practice, because a lot of the people who are buying these 2 for 24 shorts are people who are taking their parents' credit cards, and now they're buying this 2 for 24 shorts. But to get that deal, which would have otherwise been $100, they have to subscribe to this $50 a year thing that that they might not know about.
I'll play devil's advocate here, and it's like, on one end, I see what you're saying, but also like, look at Amazon Prime. Like, it's kind of a similar idea.
It's just
in a sense,
smart
it is,
marketing, yeah.
right?
but-
Like Amazon Prime's the same thing. Like, you pay this membership. Which I don't even know.
Right.
I don't even know how much I pay for. I've been paying it for years. I don't even know how much it costs.
Right.
Probably like
Yeah, I think-
$200 now.
I
Like,
think I'm paying like
180 or
100 a year or
something.
something.
That's a
like
lot,
that,
right?
Something like that.
like
yeah.
you think about it, you don't even remember that you bought it, and like, yes, you get all the benefits of like
Right.
1-day shipping, 2-day shipping,
Right.
whatever. I'm sure there's some discounts. But like it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but
Right.
the thing about
Like,
Amazon,
do you even remember when you signed up for Amazon Prime? Because I don't.
yeah, I did because I got a student discount,
Same.
and I remember it was
So
like,
they
it was
played
like,
you the same
it was like
way.
$5 a month.
Yeah,
But here's the
They
thing,
played
you know,
you the same way.
but they tell you it, you know, they say it up front, and it's like, hey,
It's like, you know about
to
it.
get this,
Yeah.
here are the benefits that you're getting. You're getting the faster shipping. You're getting, you know, yes, you're getting, technically, these are things that I call, which I implement on my businesses as well to an extent. I call these intangible upsells. So one of these things might be a warranty. So a warranty is a very legitimate thing you can sell and you can add on to a product
works really
in the
good.
e-commerce space.
Yeah.
Works
But
well.
and a lot of people aren't going to redeem them, right? Because
Yeah.
you might already, as a business, you might have a 30-day money back guarantee, or no, a 30-day warranty, right?
Right.
That's complimentary. But then you might have an extended 1-year warranty for $8, right? A lot of people are going to buy that. Not a lot of people are going to use it, right? And so you're kind of selling something that may never be redeemed,
Mhm.
but it does have this tangible value. If the product breaks, if anything happens, you know, they can send it back at a full run,
Right.
refund after this traditional time period. So again, it's a middle ground of that where but at least with Amazon Prime, they're telling you up front, right? With Costco, right? Their membership, when you want to get groceries, they're telling you, hey, this is what you're paying. Here's the fine print. You know, you're getting a card with Amazon Prime, you're getting a login account, all these different things. But there might be this little tiny fine print that's kind of hidden at the last stage of checkout that you're not actually seeing. And so most of these people they're not voluntarily opting into this, knowing what they're getting out of it. They're actually kind of like, you know, just
Sidestepping.
finessed into it,
Right.
and they kind of get funneled into this thing that they're not aware about. So part of that is buyer's awareness, right? So do you think in that situation, if to the average person, more than half of them are actually not seeing that, do you think that's something that's on the business, or do you think that's something that's on the consumer for kind of not being careful with the things that they're buying online and where they're putting their credit card?
Well, it's kind of like
Hitting him with the hard questions.
I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, right? But I mean, again, I'm pretty sure like it's kind of like MRR.
Mhm.
But when it comes
So
to like
sorry to pause you real quick.
Right.
So for those of you that don't know, you know, MRR is when you at least in the e-commerce space, it's when you try to strategically add typically a digital subscription, right? So
Right.
you don't want to have the risk of selling a physical product. And in
Right.
reality, in your head, it's a great concept because there's no overhead and you're getting people to subscribe. Now the question is, how do you provide enough value in that for it to be worth it to a consumer, right?
Exactly.
So in Fabletics and Amazon's position in Walmart, all of those things are considered MRR, monthly recurring revenue that they're getting
Right.
out of the customer,
Right.
where they have these tangible physical things. So I just want to kind of clear up
Right.
what MRR actually was.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people doing it unethically, not delivering, yada yada yada. I think bigger brands, like let's just talk about Fabletics. I'm pretty sure, you know, they're owning up to what they're saying. They're actually delivering what else, or whatever people are ordering and whatnot. But I don't know. I think not every consumer is adept when it comes to shopping online. So obviously certain people are falling into that hole
Yeah.
unknowingly. But I also think that, you know, a lot of people would willingly subscribe to something like that. So I guess I have more of a neutral take on it. It just
No, I
really
agree.
depends on like the intent of the business.
Mhm.
You know, again, like if you're just doing MRR and doing some scam bullshit, like
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, bro, like that's fucked up.
Not
Come on,
cool.
right? But if you're doing it a legitimate way, if you're delivering what you say, I think there's really nothing wrong with it,
Yeah.
right? So
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you look at, you know, compound, you know, like especially compounded things when you get new customers and, you know that they're going to be continuing to pay monthly and there's not necessarily something you have to directly fulfill on. It's definitely lucrative. There's no question
It
about
is.
that. There's
It
a
is
lot of
very
there's a
lucrative.
lot of legal things that are very lucrative. Now the question is whether or not they're ethical or not, and whether or not the legalities might change over time when
Right.
people start to abuse those things.
right,
So yeah,
right.
it's definitely an interesting conversation. So
Absolutely.
yeah, a lot of serious conversations here. You know, business here and there. I wanted to ask you a little bit more of a fun question. So
Yeah.
I drive a BMW 328i M Sport package, something like that. Nice
Yeah.
little BMW. I got it, you know, when I definitely couldn't afford it,
Right.
but I got it. Don't regret it. I've had a lot of fun with it. I still drive it to this day. I don't really see myself getting another car anytime soon. Looking back, I'd probably just buy a beater. But
Right.
anyways, been happy with it. I think it's like 2016, if I didn't already mention that. So it's not necessarily the newest thing, but it's fun. And
Right.
I think, and I recommend to a lot of people to not get luxury vehicles unless they can buy 10 of them, or they can buy 5 of their friends them, and then not have that affect their bank balance.
Right.
When I got this, it definitely affected my bank balance. So it's like, but my question is, I got my car, it's fun. Nothing compared to your car though.
Right.
Share to us a little bit about your car, or about maybe what types of cars that you've had, what motivates you to actually get that. And is there a more materialistic side to you, or are you kind of just like, I'm just buying whatever it gives me a sense of like happiness and joy?
Right. So yeah, I drive an M340. It's not like anything crazy like a supercar, but it's, definitely one of the top tier BMWs, I guess you can get. It's like an M package, M Sport. So I got this car last year, so it's been a little over a year now. I definitely could have afforded it like before that, but I like delayed gratification.
The smart way.
So yeah, and again, like, mind you, like, I had a phase where, like, when I started making like serious money about 2 years ago, like, dude, I was just spending money, like, I'll still ball out, have fun here and there where it makes sense, but dude, like, I spent like $7K in one night one time in like a New York City club. Like,
we were with people that have spent $7K, but we try to be mindful not to do that.
Wait, 70 or 7?
No, 7.
Okay.
It was like 7-8K tab, I think. Couple of guys, but
few bottles.
We try to just have our our fun poker nights, or we'll go to Hoboken sometimes. Which, you obviously Hoboken in Jersey, like popular area, and it's crazy how much the tabs can add up, and when you don't kind of get control over your finances, because money's coming in. Even if money continues to come in, you don't realize like how much is going out until you write it down, until you look at your bank balance.
I'm gonna cut you off here. I saw something funny today on Instagram Shorts. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. He had a really long podcast come out like a week ago.
Yeah.
He had a YouTube short. He was like, yeah, I was ripping like $250 a month, like net, but I was spending $275 a month. And then the next month I was spending. And then the next month I was spending $250 a month, and I would made $250 a month, so I was good.
Oh,
and then
I know exactly what you're talking about now.
And then the next month I made I spent $250 a month, so I made $225 that month.
Right.
And so then I realized it all caught up to me. So it's like stuff like that, right? That's what we're talking about.
I definitely had that phase for like at least a year.
Mm-hmm.
But no, when it comes to the car, like, I'm genuinely into cars. Like, you can
I see you posting that thing all the time.
Right.
Like,
so I guess I'll get into like the business aspect of it too, because there is some. But yeah, no, I genuinely like love cars. I always talk about cars. I go to car meets. Car meets are also a great way to network with people, right? There's people driving
someone has a nice car, it's like,
cars, and they definitely do something.
They do something right. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm really into German cars, specifically Beamers. Like, it literally puts like a smile on my face. Right? Like, it's literally something I enjoy doing. Like, I'll literally just go on a drive sometimes if I haven't drove my car in like 2 or 3 days. So I think, there's that aspect, and then there's also like the business aspect. Some of it is a write-off. I can also make content when it comes to like YouTube and Instagram. And I think it also just opens up doors to other people and talking with other people and stuff like that. Like, when someone sees you have a nice car, what do you do? Oh, I do this and that.
You can get clients from it. You can get relationships.
So I think it was a good play. I love it. And I'm probably gonna daily that in like the next year and a half or 2 years, and probably get something even nicer.
So,
So
you want to share what's on the
let's see
the to buy list?
So they actually just came out with the last generation of R8s. It's called the R8 GT. And mostly everything is going electric. Fortunately and unfortunately. If you talk to a car head, like, they'll love combustion. Like, there's just something about combustion cars, that adrenaline,
For
from
sure.
the pops and bangs, and
The annoying guys that speed down the block and it sounds like gunshots.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you one of those?
No. My car's stock for now. Like, I haven't really put anything crazy on it just yet. I've only done some not performance, some cosmetic mods to it, just to make the look better. But an R8 GT is like, an R8 V10 Plus is something I've been eyeing down for like years now. but the R8 GT is just so nice. So nice. So
Yeah,
Let's
this kid's
see.
like
Let's see.
you're talking Chinese to him.
Bro, I drive a 2007 Honda Accord.
And
man.
he's the
I don't
smartest one
care.
out of all of
I
us.
don't
But
care.
but yeah, I
I
mean,
don't care.
I hear you though. There's something about just
Yeah.
driving on the highway and just knowing that you work for something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And just like there's sometimes I'll just be driving like nice sunset, nice music going
Right.
on, and I'm just smiling. I'm like,
Exactly.
my parents
It's
got
kinda
a
like therapy.
my parents got a nice 2003 Honda minivan, and let me tell you, functionality wise, I can do way more stuff with that than my car. When I gotta
Probably.
move my couch, when I gotta move my bed, when I'm
Yeah.
moving apartments, this, that, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
it's versatile, it's functional.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I don't get that smile on my face when I'm driving that like I do mine. So
Of course.
at first, first couple of years, I mean, I've only had it for 3.5 years now, but probably the first 2 years, I was like, is this really something I should have got? Because I think originally I got it because I literally wanted to make ads with it because I wanted to create a course. I literally wanted to create a course.
Dude,
I wanted to be one of
almost-
those make money online
Almost
guys.
everyone had a picture in front of a car, dude.
Yep.
Like it would be some
was a-
supercar, some German car.
That was the thing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna monetize it.
Right,
I'm gonna
right.
figure out a way to make money off of this investment. So it's gonna be smart.
Right.
Never made a fucking course.
Right.
Never made a course. Never really did some like high level coaching thing that
Mhm.
I'm gonna use this as a lead magnet offer. And if I did ever do something in the future, I wouldn't use that as it because I don't want people to judge me off the things I have, but
Right.
the things that I've been able to do.
Right.
And based off whatever they're investing in me in order to teach them
Right.
on whatever how to do it, whatever. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun little toy, and I think
is.
I think materialism aside, it's important to kind of every now and then enjoy some of the fruits of your labor. And I think a lot of people
absolutely.
don't do it enough, but some people do
Absolutely.
it way too often. Some people don't
Yeah.
do it enough. But yeah, cars is interesting because it's like there's kind of two categories where people spend the most money. It's usually the roof over your head and the car that you have.
Right.
So I know all of us. There's been periods where we were doing very well. We're continuing to do well, and we're still kicking in our parents because we know if you have the opportunity to do that, it is a luxury.
Why
You
not?
especially in Jersey, you save 3-4 grand a month. Instead of me being at the penthouse on the 50th floor,
You're saving
I get
like
to save
50K a year.
4 grand a month.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe I don't have the golf simulator and the nice city view, but I got everything else I need to work and to be able to focus undistracted. And so it's like there's kind of a balance of both. Yeah.
Right. And like you can just travel and do so much more with that.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny, like when I was making like okay money, like I've always had the opportunity to like travel since I was younger. Obviously not as much as, I've traveled over the past 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
But even when I was making like decent money back in school, like sometimes even though I couldn't technically afford it, I would still book like a first class flight, right?
Mm.
And the reason why I did that was just to kind of gain that perspective of what it feels like sitting in
Get a
first
taste.
class,
Yeah,
right? And the same goes with like a lot of experiences and stuff like that. I think experiences are great to pay for.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that would just remind me every time, like when I did sit in economy, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I kind of just wanted that experience, like what would it take for me to afford this every single time,
Yeah.
right? And now like I have the Amex points and stuff like
Yep,
that,
yep.
so
So you're chilling.
but I
Yeah.
kind of just put myself on like that plane level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Like just working that hard so I can achieve that every single time. Cause like that feeling of sitting in first class was just insane, right?
Yeah.
Like the treatment you get. And even though I couldn't afford it, like I knew like I have to get my way up there so I can do this each and every time. Like
Yeah,
I
for
can
sure.
get this experience. I can put my family members and friends in the same way too.
Mhm.
So
100%.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I've only flown first class once, and it was a flight to North Carolina. So it was
oh,
like
come on.
it was
That's
like
like an hour.
It was like a 2-hour flight, and the only reason I got it was because it was only like a $30 or $40 upgrade. Because
Right.
I mean, everything I do obviously is with points. So I haven't paid for
Yeah.
a flight in probably 4 years. But
Yeah.
like even so, like if I'm sitting on 2.5 million points, I don't want to just spend 500,000 points
No.
on a first class flight somewhere. So
Right.
so like, but it's what like you said, it's very important, right? If like one of your goals is to get an R8, like even if you have no idea how you're gonna get there, just walk into a dealership, sit in one, pretend like you're gonna buy one, put yourself
Feel
in those
it.
shoes, and then
That's
then
funny.
you'll be hooked, and you'll be like, all right, now I got to set up the plan. Now I kind of have that kick in the ass of motivation to do it, and
Exactly.
and there's a lot of instances like that where people get this kind of short term dopamine hit.
Right.
One of the things being events. This is something. It's a kind of a whole separate conversation, but to keep it short, a lot of people go to these business events and they start networking and they get this like jolt of motivation from talking to a bunch of people.
Mhm.
They go home, maybe the next day they write some business ideas. The next day they're back eating Cheetos, watching Netflix all day, you know? So I think that's another big element to it. And I guess there's kind of a question that ties into that. There's a lot of things that we do, but in terms of you specifically, you know, what do you actively do in order to continue to maintain motivation even when you're winning, right? So when you're winning and when you know you're going to continue to win, even if you let your foot off the gas, some of your business are going to keep running themselves. Like, what is there anything that you actively do in order to remind yourself, like, I got to keep pushing further, or there's like more that I want out of this, there's more I can get out of it, when like at any moment you could probably just kind of take a step back, park all your money into a smart investment and like kind of be chilling, right?
I think it's just like, honestly, like all the businesses that I have right now, I genuinely look forward to them, right? Like, you know how they say do something every day that excites you to get out of bed? Like, I literally enjoy what I do. So I think there's always like that next milestone, that next goal, right? Like, you hit that 100,000 mark, you hit the $500,000 mark, $1 million mark, 2 mil, 3 mil, 4 mil. Like, you're always gonna want to make more, but like at that point, you're doing it for the right reason, like to level up, to open up opportunities for yourself, the people around you, to influence more people. So I think that's what kind of keeps me going every single day, to kind of just give my all every single day as well, rather than just doing it for myself. Because I think that was something that led me to stay at like a bubble in terms of how much money I was making for a really long time. But then once I shifted that perspective, it just accelerated my growth so much quicker. Like, I was doing it purely for the money, like to see that freaking bank wire transfer hidden, right? But again, I didn't have the right approach. I wasn't in the right mindset. I didn't really like, I think as I matured in the space, in the industry, took all these hits and stuff like that, I really, developed like a better outlook on things. And then it kind of just went from there. So that's kind of how I view it now as well, to kind of keep me going each and every single day.
Makes a lot of sense, right?
So, yeah.
No, that's good, man. Like, I'm happy we're doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
it's nice.
He's a good first guest, like 100%.
Yeah,
but just like stuff like that, like especially people listening, like that's the type of stuff you have to think about, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's the higher meaning to this stuff. Have your goals.
Right.
Keep breaking them. Keep breaking the ceiling.
Right.
And push through, and then you'll get the R8.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So there's one thing I wanted to talk about, because it kind of ties into like this continuous motivation to continue working, like, and to actually do something you enjoy. There's a book I read, and it wasn't like a 300-page book. I actually have an app that I recommend everyone get called Headway. Not Headspace. Headspace is a meditation app. It's called Headway, and it summarizes books into like 10, 15-page summaries that you can listen to audiobooks, you can go through them, you can read them. It's literally 10, 15-page summaries, and it brings a 300-page book down to 10 or 15 pages. Because as entrepreneurs, we're very busy. So like, yeah, we want to read, we want to learn more things in our vocabulary, we want to learn things, like get nuggets out of it. But we don't want to waste too much time doing it. So that's why a lot of like entrepreneurs don't read, because they're like, well, why am I reading when I could be working on my business? Like, those are the big needle movers. Anyways, read a book, 10, 15-page summary of a book. And it talked about a tribe in Japan called like, in a city or a town called Okinawa. You guys might have heard of it in like movies or whatever, like Karate Kid. One of the instructors, I think, was grew up there or trained there, whatever it might be. But in Okinawa, Japan, they actually don't have a word for retire. And coincidentally, they also live the longest out of like any other place in the world, like not just in Japan, like in the world. So a lot of that has to do with like diet, exercise, but they work, and it gives them this sense of purpose. And there's literally not a word in the dictionary for retire. So, and I think about this all the time. I'm like, is there really ever a point where I want to retire and just sit on the beach all day? Like, when I was in Europe for 2 months, and like I was on beaches a lot for a couple of hours, I was like getting antsy. I was like, I feel like I need to do something. I feel like I'm like wasting my time chilling, kicking back for too long. So I always think to myself, like, is there a point where I want to retire? Or like, if I want to kind of let off the gas on, I guess, working so much, what's the thing that I'm going to continue to hold with me and continue to work? Because the moment you stop working is kind of maybe the moment you stop having like a purpose, or you stop fulfilling this mission that gives you this sense of purpose. And I think that's why a lot of them live so long, because they continuously have this purpose, and it motivates them to get up, accommodate their lifestyle around this longevity, instead of just like making a lot of money and then ditching it and just going buying a condo in Florida and kicking back on the beach every day. So yeah, I guess with that, my question to you would be, do you envision yourself retiring? And if so, how early would you want to do that? I guess, can you see you running some of your businesses after other businesses you might have not even started yet that you want to get into, but maybe that's a later thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't really have a definite date or time frame in terms of when I'm going to retire. But I think once I get to the point where, my money's making me enough money where I'm living comfortably every single month, like I would definitely want to
Scale it
get
back, kind of like scale it back as opposed to like abandon it.
maybe scale it back, but also do stuff just that like genuinely, like something I've always wanted to do is get into philanthropy a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like start my own shelter somewhere for the homeless people
That's sick.
and like really make it big. That's something like I've been volunteering at homeless shelter since I was like in middle school probably, right? So again, like that side of the thing that's always just stuck with me. I've always had like a soft side for that entire community, kind of making like a difference for them. So definitely get into like philanthropy a little bit more, and I guess just giving back, like going to these panels and not even charging or like taking money and stuff like that. You know, just doing stuff that will empower other people, not like a Tony Robbins kind of thing, but doing it more kind of low key.
Yeah,
if that makes
sense. No, that's cool. I didn't know that about you, and I think that's dope with like the homeless shelters. And I guess there's two things with that. One is with things of that nature, because we always want to be able to do more and we always want to give more. And I think a lot of people think in terms of the impact, a lot of times it's correlational to the money you can throw at it, right? So for a homeless shelter, how much can you invest in either creating one, starting it up, things like that, but probably something more valuable than that it might not have as much of a, like, I don't know, monumental impact, but at the surface level, what is a lot more valuable than money is actually putting your time into it and showing up, because you can't get that time back. That's something where you can connect with people. You can throw $10,000 at a family, or you can go spend a day with them, buy $10,000 worth of food, get them rent for a couple of months if they're living on the streets, things like that. And I think there's a lot of power to that. Yeah.
Right. I agree 100%. Yeah.
Cool. I think
it's kind of what Steve will do it.
Steve will do it. Yeah,
which he got canceled, right?
He did get canceled.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
And another social media.
That's a different
topic for another
next
day. But
podcast.
I think we've had some pretty good conversation today.
Fire.
For sure.
Yeah, appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, guys.
Hope the listeners got some value out of it.
I think we should before we leave, just ask where people can find you, because like he's big time. So
drop the social media. We'll have them in the the links in the description. But just tell them where they can find you and how,
yeah. So on YouTube it's Yash, my first name, last name Shah, and then on Instagram it's YASHH14. So yeah, just reach out to me.
Hit him up. Don't blow his DMs up too much, but hit him up.
Yeah.
Anyways, this was cool. I'm happy.
We'll hope to maybe bring you on soon in a couple of months, see how things have changed in the businesses, and that'll conclude our third episode of New Money Talks.
Awesome.
See you in the next one.
Thank you.